Hi, 7th graders. We are on lesson 2-7, solving equations involving rational numbers. So if we think back to how we solve one-step equations, remember if we're given an equation like this, t minus 7.81 equals 4.32. Well, first we want to draw our railroad tracks. And then, remember, we find the side with the variable, so t, okay, and we're doing the same exact steps. It's just that now we have rational numbers, we have decimals instead of integers. So since this is subtraction, and since my variable is on this side, I'm going to do the opposite of subtraction, so I'm going to add, and I'm going to add 7.81 to both sides. I'm trying to line it up nice so that it is nice and organized and easy for me to add. Okay, so remember the reason why we added 7.1 is because negative 7.1 plus positive 7.1 cancels each other out. So we're left with 0 for that. So then I have t equals, and then we can add. 2 plus 1 is 3. 3 plus 8 is 11. Carry my 1 up there. 11 plus 1 is 12. And then bring down my decimal. So t equals 12.13. And then I think in my head and I check, well, if I put 12.13 in for t, 12.13 minus 7.81, does it equal 4.32? And if I check it on my calculator or in my head, I know that that's correct. So that's my right answer. Okay, if I have y plus 2/5 equals negative 1/2, well, we do the same thing, railroad tracks, and I'm adding 2/5, so this time I need to subtract 2/5. And I'm on this side because my variable, which is y, is on this side. So I have negative 1/2. It's easier for me to write it like this when we're adding and subtracting fractions. So negative 1/2 minus 2/5. Okay, this has already canceled out, so I'm just left with y down here. I know that 2 and 5 both go into 10, so I'm going to do 2 times 5, negative 1 times 5, 5 times 2, 2 times 2. So I'm going to rewrite it. Negative 5/10 minus 4/10. Negative 5 minus 4, so negative 5 plus negative 4 equals, and I can just write it down here, negative 9/10. And that is my final answer. So negative 9/10 plus 2/5 equals negative 1/2. Okay, we can also solve by using, wrong slide, using multiplication or division. So if I have 7.2v equals negative 36, okay, start with my train tracks. This time I see that v is being multiplied by 7.2 because anytime there's a number with a letter, that means multiplication. So since we're multiplying, we're going to do the opposite, which is dividing, because I'm always trying to get rid of that number. So that's why I'm undoing it, or I'm doing the opposite, so it leaves me alone with my variable. 7.2 divided by 7.2 is 1, so that would just leave us with b. But then I have to do it on the other side over here. So negative 36 divided by 7.2, we have a negative and a positive, so I know it's going to be negative, and that equals negative 5. That's my final answer. I go in and check 7.2 times negative 5 and I get negative 36. This is where it gets a little bit more confusing. We have 4/5 r equals 12, which tells me that r is being multiplied by 4/5. So we want to know what number multiplied by 4/5 equals 12. So we can see that it's being multiplied. So what we would do after we do our train tracks is we would think that, oh, we need to divide both sides by 4/5. Okay? So side note over here, well, I'll just explain. If we're dividing by a fraction, it's the same thing as multiplying by its multiplicative inverse or reciprocal, which I hope that you remember what that means. So the reciprocal of 4/5 is 5/4. So instead of dividing by 4/5, I'm going to multiply by 5/4. Because as you can see, 5 times 4 is 20. 4 times 5 is 20. 20 over 20 is 1. So then I'm just left with r. But I have to do it on the other side as well. So I'm going to put this over 1. And then I have 12 over 1 times 5 over 4. So we are multiplying by the exact same thing that we're multiplying by over here. So they're reciprocal on both sides. 12 times 5 is 60. And then 1 times 4 is 4. So we have 60/4, which remember this means division. So 60 divided by 4 is 15. So r equals 15. 4/5 times 15 equals 12. Okay, so over here I do my train tracks. I see that my variable is on this side. It's being multiplied by negative 2/3. So now I'm going to multiply by, I'm going to keep my negative in my numerator, even though it's attached to the 2. And we're going to multiply by the reciprocal. Negative 2/3 reciprocal would be negative 3/2. And I know that it works because negative 3 times negative 2 is 6. 2 times 3 is 6. I'm going to write this out so you can see why we're doing it. So 6 over 6 n. 6/6 is 1, so we have 1 n. Here then, I multiply by negative 3/2 over here. So negative 3/2. We have 3 times negative 3 is negative 9. 5 times 2 is 10. And it cannot be simplified. So without my 1, I'm going to rewrite this as n equals negative 9/10. Okay? Go back and rewatch if that's confusing, or at least if these ones are confusing, go back and rewatch so you can understand exactly how to do that. And then do not forget to take your 2-7 NICU quiz, and I will see you tomorrow.